may not really see it. I'm going to show it to you. Now, look. Notice. Y'all ain't happy, but I am. Notice the change in his language. When he left, he said, give me. But when he came back, he said, make me. See, some of y'all, when you left God, you was arrogant. But God had to humble you while you was in your mess. And now you saying, God, just make me one of your children. Just make me a servant of yours. I'm just glad to still be alive. I'm just glad to still be in the land of the living. Lord, make me one of your servants. Somebody shout, make me. Somebody shout, make me. Make me. Make me over again, Lord. Take out everything that's not like you. Take out every way that's not like you. Somebody say, I want to be like Jesus. I want to walk like Jesus. I want to talk like Jesus. I want to worship like Jesus. Lord, make me what you want me to be. So, the Bible said that the Father, when he heard that the Son was coming, the Bible said the Father went out to meet the Son, right? But the custom of the time was this. When you were a child and you had disrespected your father and wasted everything that you had, the people in the village would throw things and say nasty things to him. And so it wasn't just that the father was glad to see him, but the father ran to the son because he said, wait a minute, get the robe, get the ring. He said, because my son was lost, but now my son is found. So he ran so he could cover his son up. He covered up his shame. He covered up his junk.